What is up, guys? I am Brock, and I am also the host of the Frostbuddy podcast. Here we are. I'm happy to be back. I know it's been a while, but honestly, I'm in kind of a transition phase. I've been had to move out of Bloomington and back home for a little bit, and then we're making another move, my brother and I. So, just kind of all over the place. Tough to get my podcast studio up and running, but you know what? I found a way. Um, you know what? Sometimes you got to do it from your bedroom, but that's okay. That's the life that we live in the startup world. So just happy to be back. And, I've had a lot of people asking about the podcast and shows. And I know I've been slacking, but I promise I got a plan. I'm going to get back on it every single week. Hopefully every single day, honestly, because, it's just a stress relief for me. It's really fun to do. It's really fun to just kind of just start talking and see where it goes and see what where the ideas flow and just stuff like that. So, and I've had some great feedback from people and all the kind words. So I'm back and hopefully we can get a nice consistent schedule and keep going. So if you're new to the Frostbuddy podcast, we talk a lot of things about, of course, business, entrepreneurship, and, just my journey in the startup world from going from 0 to 8 figures, in a year, and just continuing to grow and all the challenges that we face there, the obstacles. So I'll talk about that, stories, experiences that I have. We'll talk about fitness and motivation and stuff like that, because of course that's a huge part of my life. Fitness is a huge part of, who I am and, who my brothers are as well. So that's a big piece, and just the motivation behind it and all that. So we'll have a few episodes such as that. And then we also have, you know, our Q&A sessions like that, where, customers or fans will send in questions to ask Brock at frostbuddy.com, and pretty much I will respond to those, whatever they may be. So kind of the different segments that we go there. But today I'm actually going to get into something that I actually posted this on LinkedIn not too long ago, and I was like, this would actually be a good episode. So, I think there's a lot to be said for the past 5 years, basically until last year. I was a Division I pole vaulter at Indiana University. For those of you that don't know, I was a two-time Big Ten runner-up. I was a part of two Big Ten championship teams, and then I was also a national qualifier my junior year, and then senior year, obviously COVID hit, and then fifth year was just short. Not the greatest year. We could go into that a little after or a little later, but so had a great career there and some good accolades, and just a ton of fun. Honestly, just the best time of my life. We got to do it with some of my best friends, make my best friends, but I go through that because I obviously didn't start off like that, right? I came in out of high school. I didn't even really do track, and mostly I played baseball in the spring. I was a four-sport athlete, but played baseball in the spring, and baseball and track overlap. So I didn't really do it. I come from a pole vaulting family, but again, I just liked baseball, was better at baseball. So I pole vaulted probably in 4 track meets, and the point came where I was like, okay, well, I want to go to a huge school. I wanted to go to a Power 5 school, just for school in general, right? And had made that decision. Well, I come from a tiny town, and so, we didn't play a bunch of unbelievable competition in games and baseball. So it was really, really hard. It was going to be hard for me to get recruited to a larger Division I program, having not, paid to go on some bigger travel teams and stuff like that in the summer. So, I knew that, understood how it worked. My brothers all pole vaulted in college, so I understood, just Division I athletics in general. And so pretty much what happened was I was going to have to go to JUCO or a smaller D2 and then transfer. Did not want to do that. So I kind of hit a point in my senior year after saying I would never, ever pole vault in college. And I was like, you know what? Like, this is my opportunity. I had already decided on Indiana, and, Mitch was still at the University of Illinois pole vaulting as I was a senior in high school. So had him pretty much reach out to the Indiana pole vault coach and just be like, hey, like, I know my brother hasn't had much of a mark in high school that would look like he could compete in college, but he wants to pole vault at IU. He's already going there. And pretty much he took a flyer on me, just because of family history, because my brothers were good. And although I had only gone 14 and a half feet in high school, it was one of those where it was like, hey, he might be able to do something. He's an athletic kid. So let's give him a shot. And so obviously I say that just so that you understand. I come in to college not having done anything at all. Like 14 and a half feet does not go to a Division I program, a Power 5 program, really ever. Like, it just does not happen. You won't even get looked at unless you're at least, a bare minimum of 15 and a half feet. So for those of you that don't know the track, I'm a foot under that mark, and that's a big difference right there. There's a lot of people that can go 14 and a half, not 15 and a half, 16, 17. So I come in not very good. And so how do I get from not very good, this walk on, to, two-time Big Ten runner-up, and my best friend and roommate was the Big Ten champion both of those years, and national qualifier, to being, top 15 in the country, competing but against, people like Mondo Duplantis, who literally just set the world record for God knows how many times he's done it now. But like, just to be in that category, right? And how does that happen? And, so I had to go back, and I went in my journal, and I looked, and I was like, at one point in my senior year, I was transitioning out. It started Frostbuddy, and I was like, how can I transition this to business? What did I do to become, a high level Division I athlete in track and field? What, from nothing, right? From basically the bare bottom, to where no one even knew who I was or looked at me. How did I go from that to, a top 2 pole vaulter in the Big Ten, and, someone that's nationally, in the conversation, right? How does that happen? So I started just writing it down. I was like, what transitions to business? Because obviously I was like, I'm not going pro or anything. I'm going to be done, because, that was just known. That was never in the question to keep going. I had different life plans. I wanted to start a business. I had started one. So pretty much I started writing it down, and I'm like, the first thing that I looked at that I changed was, instead of having these like results goals, whether that was a huge mark, whether I was like, oh, I want to go 17 feet, 18 feet. Once I hit those goals early on in my career, I was like, oh crap, what now? And I think it's the same thing in business, right? You hit your goal and you're like, oh, what the hell do I do? Because you don't know what your limits are. And when you set the goal like that, when you set a results goal, you set the limit. And as soon as you hit that, you're just like, what do I do? Like, you don't know. And so I had to go back after I did that. And I was like, I got to find something else. Like, I can't just fall in love with that, because I don't know what the limit is. And so I started setting these goals. I changed how I set the goals. I fell in love with the process of what it took to become great, and what it took to become, who I became. And I was like looking at it going, okay, well, I need to set these daily goals of going, hey, if I'm dominating in the weight room every single day, day in and day out, I can control that, right? And if I'm going to practice and giving 100%, if as soon as I'm done with practice, I'm recovering to the best of my ability, and in between, I'm eating right, I'm drinking enough water, getting enough sleep, I can control all of those things. And no matter how good I get, those things don't change. And it's the exact same thing in business that I found out with Frostbuddy. If we could do $11,000 in a day, or we could do $100,000 in a day, but guess what? Like, it does not matter the next day you wake up. It doesn't matter, because if all of a sudden I have my process goals in Frostbuddy and going, okay, well, I need to do this, this, and this. Well, then now, no matter if we do 11 or 100, I'm doing the same thing every day, day in, day out, and I will get better. And that was one thing I noticed. That was one thing I've continued to do, and I try to do. It's not easy to let go of the results. It's really hard. Trust me, like, I still go with the highs and lows too much. I do. But if you can fall in love with that process of just grinding and hustling, like, that's where you don't set the limit. You can't. And so, that was the first thing I looked at. And the second thing was, I realized that the failures that I had, or the setbacks, whether that was injuries or just poor performances, but hitting those lows of lows are what made the highs and the wins so much sweeter. Like it just changed everything. And so like just learning to accept those and learning to take them as they come and realize that, hey, yeah, this is a hardship. I'm going through it, but God, it's going to make that win. It's going to make getting on top so much sweeter. Like it really, really is. So you got to just learn to take it and keep going. And then, something I figured out really early was that you're going to perform about as well as the people that you surround yourself with, that you train with. And so in business, I'm going to look at that and go, the people that you're networking with or talking to or still surrounding yourself with, right? Like I said, I lost to my roommate in, pretty much every meet. And it's fine, right? Because he was, just better. And that was okay because it gave me something to chase. He made me so much better than I could have ever gotten to had I been the best. And because I was around that was the expectation. And so in business, if I'm around people that, have $100 million plus businesses and have done it or are doing it, if I'm at 5-10 million, like the expectation is just raised so much. And that goes for anything. Like as long as you have that expectation raised, then you are going to start to perform better. And that's going to just be who you become, because you have to, because you don't know any different. And so, who you're with is so important. And just, not necessarily comparing, but to a certain extent, yeah, like, hey, if they can do it, I can do it. And that was always my mentality, is like, if he can go that high, I can get there. And, that's just how you got to look at it. And so I think it's so important, even in business, that I realized. And then this next one, in my opinion, is so, so important because it happened to me and I got to see it firsthand. But getting to the top as you're on that climb is super fun, right? The process of growing, you're getting better. Like everyone always has that breakout season and it's so fun. But the real work is staying there. Staying on top is when all of a sudden it gets really, really challenging. You'll see a lot of athletes have one unbelievable year and then boom, you're like, where'd they go after that? Where'd they go? Well, because it's really fun when things are going great, when you're gliding, when you're just growing, and same in business. It's really fun when you feel like nothing can take you. And then you get there, you get to the top, you get to your goals, and you're like, oh, this is, and you get punched in the face, right? And you're like, well, what the heck? I've never dealt with this. Yeah, it's really, really hard to stay there, to stay at that level, because all of a sudden it might not be that fun anymore. And you might just have to keep grinding and keep doing it, and it might not be that fun. And so that's really, really hard. If you see people that are continuously good year in, year out, look at college football, look at Nick Saban, or look at Bill Belichick, Tom Brady in the NFL, right? That to continue to win year in, year out, it's not easy. It's not easy at all. And so you have to understand that when you're getting there, or when you feel like you're getting there, that's when you have to keep your foot on the pedal. Otherwise, life will knock you down real quick. And so, yeah, I got to learn that the hard way. I got there and then I was like, crap, this is really hard to stay this good. Like it just is. It just is. And so anyone that's at the top could tell you that. So the next point I was able to write down was that a good coach or a great coach can be the complete difference between good and great. It really can be. And I believe that is true in both athletics and business, in life, right? Because, everyone's in the same boat. Like someone could tell you they have their crap together. They probably don't. And to have a good coach in college athletics and to see someone that has a great coach, you can see a huge difference just in the program consistency year in, year out. You know who the great coach is. You know who the good coach is. You just know because you can tell by the athletes. You can tell by who they're pumping out. Again, look at Nick Saban, look at Bill Belichick. You can tell, right? And so, finding that, maybe that coach or that mentor that is good, that's been there, that's doing it, that is going, like, they're going to shorten the learning curve. They're going to have been where you are. They're going to have seen the obstacles, the challenges. They're going to have had the wins, the losses, and they just have experience. Experience is so big. It's so important, right? No matter what it is, they're just going to have been there. And, while you don't have to find one, you don't have to have one. If you want to speed things up, if you want to go faster, it's probably going to be a help. It's going to be a must. So, a coach is just so important, and they can be a huge difference between being great or just being very mediocre. There's a lot of athletes out there that the coach just absolutely ruined, and it's unfortunate. So, the next point that I'm going to say is that, and this is one my strength coach really just helped to instill in us and help to really just put this into who we are. And the small details and focusing on those consistently over time have an absolutely insane compound effect. And it doesn't feel like it. And, that would be stretching after weights, stretching after practice. And again, like I said, the drinking enough water, the eating the right food, down to I would measure out my food because I was so serious about it. And just doing the little things that don't feel like they're making a difference. And again, in business, it's the same thing. There's so many small things. You're like, it doesn't really matter. It does though. Because as you do them, you're fine tuning that detail muscle in your brain. And you're telling yourself that you're getting those small wins, those tiny, tiny wins. But what it does is it's going to absolutely, over time, you're just getting better and better, and you're just stacking up these little wins. And eventually you don't even realize when you look back 2 years later who the heck you are, because all of a sudden you've had this just huge transformation because it was these tiny little steps. And that's exactly what happened to me. I focused on doing every little thing that I could. And I didn't notice it at all until I looked back. And I was like, wow, look at that. Look who you've become. So again, that's a long-term vision type of play. You got to look at it and just know that there is that compound effect coming. Sorry about that. And then, I think to segue off of that, and it's the same exact thing, but just kind of at a different thing or a different point, is that, you can absolutely make up for talent with hard work. So some people in both athletics and business, they're genetically probably more blessed than you. They might be smarter. They might have a better upbringing. They might have whatever it could be. They're going to have the advantage. And I think in athletics, a lot of times you think that, you know what, they're just faster than me. They're just stronger than me. They're just this, that. It's not true. Yes, there are some that are out there that you're just yes, genetically they are, right? But your limit is so much higher than you could even imagine just by grit, hard work, and just getting after it. It's the same thing in business. People, I feel like, look at people like Elon and Bezos and Mark, they're like, oh, well, they're just so smart. They're just so much smarter than me, or this and that. That may be. And you don't have to be them. You might not. You're probably not going to be, right? If you don't have some of that tech skill, and which I don't. But there's no reason that I can't build a massive, massive company just by hard work, grit, and just figuring it out. Just getting knocked down, getting back up, and just keep on freaking going. And then with that, what I found out as in point one with the process is that if you don't shoot for the stars, wherever you shoot for is where you're going to go. Right. And so, like I said, in pole vault, when I first got there, I was shooting for 17 feet. And that was just like a big milestone in my mind. Let's get that straight. Well, what happens 2 years in, out of 5, I hit that. And now I'm like, crap, what the heck? And I hit it because that's what I was shooting for. Whereas flip side, if I'm shooting for 18 feet, 19 feet, well, now guess what happens? I pass 17 feet without even realizing it because it's not even in my sights. And because as soon as I shoot for the stars and I don't limit myself, well, now all of my actions have to increase. Everything I'm doing daily, weekly, has to get better, has to be at a higher level, because my goal, again, I know results goal, but it's so high that you have to change who you are. You have to become that person that can get there. And it makes a massive difference, because wherever you set your sights is where you're going to go. If I set Frostbuddy at 10 million, guess what? When I get to 10 million, what's going to happen? Or worse yet, what happens if I hit 8? Now I set a smaller goal and I still failed. Now what am I thinking? But what if I shoot for 1 billion and I fail and I hit 200, I fail and I fail miserably. I hit 200 million. I hit 100 million. Wow. I failed. But I shot so freaking high that where I fell was still way higher than what a lot of people even try for. So don't limit yourself, because at the end of the day, nothing is impossible. And for me, that's going to be coming from nothing's impossible when you have God, right? And so, my faith is so strong, and it has to be so strong because God, it's hard sometimes. Life is hard, business is hard, athletics is hard. It'll knock you down, knock you in the dirt. The lows are low, but by God, like, it doesn't matter when I let greed get in the way or when I let other external factors get in the way. Like, I have to remind myself that, like, my only inner peace, truly, my only satisfaction can come and through faith, through my faith, through being with the Lord, through knowing that I'm not really that much in control. Like, he has a plan and there's a plan out there. And it's probably just how I look at the situation. If something bad happened to me, whether it's an injury, whether it's, a supplier having a problem or a customer having a problem or a retail, whatever it may be, it's just going to be my perspective and how I'm looking at it and going, wow, God, what are you trying to show me here? Or what's the plan or the path here? And when I would have a hamstring injury, like that was, I had to completely change my perspective on that. And so, with that, I would say the next point I wrote down was never stop learning. Absolutely never stop learning. Because the second you stop learning is the second you start going backwards. And so whether that was figuring out why am I pulling my hamstring, or why am I not doing this correct, or how do I get faster? How do I get stronger? Like, you can always keep learning. And in business, it's the sky is even higher than in pole vault, right? Pole vault's technical. You theoretically could probably have perfect form. You probably could. In business, I don't know that there's a single thing, there's such thing as perfect. There's really not. Same with life, right? And so you can always learn more. And if you keep learning, if you keep reading or watching or whatever it may be, talking, then, you're just always going to figure out new ways, new paths, new avenues to do different things. Whatever it may be, whatever challenge you may be having, you'll learn how to figure it out. And so, I think with that, the biggest thing that I realized, once I was pretty far into it was, man, like, I just gotta have fun. Like, I'm in my junior year. It's just going fast. You look back, you're like, God, we're already 3 years in. Like, if I didn't take a fifth year, like, I got one more year after that. Like, you just gotta have fun. Like, it's short. Life goes by fast. Years that you're in things go by fast. Like, we're already 2 years into Frostbuddy. I don't even know how we're in 2 years of Frostbuddy. Like, I don't even know how it's went that fast. And so, like, sometimes you just gotta stop. You gotta enjoy it. You gotta have fun. Even when it sucks, right? You gotta find a way to have fun. And I need to do better of that myself. And I'm learning how to, because, like, last few days we've gotten knocked in the teeth. It sucks, but I just know that it's gonna go by fast, and you don't want to look back and be like, man, why wasn't I having fun? Because, like, the whole journey is just part of who you are. It's part of life, and it's just happening. And, like, if Frostbuddy is, taking up most of my time and all of my days, all my weeks, all my months, like, why would I not enjoy it? Why should I not enjoy it? And so, yeah, just gotta have fun. And then, I would say the last point to this that I really wrote down that I learned, through that is just, you gotta be a competitor, right? If you want to win, and of course, like, I look at business like a game. Like, I want to win. I want to beat my competitors. I want to be at the top. I want to be the one that people are looking up to going, how did he do that? You got to be a competitor. We always have the saying, a good loser is just a loser, right? And because, people they'll call me a sore loser. And I'm like, are you like, yes, I'm a sore loser. I hate to lose. I don't want to lose. If you, like, how are you not a sore loser? I don't get it. So just that'll drive me nuts, right? Like, just you should want to win so badly. Like, I don't care if you're a sore loser. I really don't, because that means you wanted it so bad. You're so passionate about winning that, yeah, you're pissed off. Now, don't go like hurt someone, or don't go like dropping names. You can do it. You can be pissed at yourself, or be pissed, don't take it on other people. But like, God, just want to win. Like, you gotta want to win, because if you don't want to win, guess what? You're not going to, because someone else wants to. And so, I had to figure that out. When my roommate's beating me year in, year out, I got to look in the mirror and go, you know what? It's not okay to get second anymore. I want to win. And I had to learn that. And now in Frostbite, it's like, hey, we're losing. We're down. Some people were on third when we just started, and I got to get to third. I got to catch up. How do I do that? So, you just got to win. So I know that was a lot of rambling, but, I just felt like it was something, that if other people are listening to this that are going to start, or maybe, are athletes that are wanting to start something, whatever it may be, maybe you're entrepreneurs, or maybe you're just in life, right? Maybe you have a different job. Maybe you're working for someone. But if you could get something out of this, something out of some of these points, like, I hope it hits a little bit, and, hope it helps, because it just helps me to get it out, get it off the chest, and just let you guys know, this is just what I've taken in, what I've experienced. And, I don't have much experience, 24, 2 years into business, but I had 5. I mean, Division I athletics will give you a lot of experience, a lot of life. It will prepare you, in my opinion, for so much that life throws at you, because there's all sorts of challenges and obstacles, and just, it's a crazy ride. But God, I absolutely loved it. So, if you know me, I absolutely love the Real AF podcast. Andy Frisella, absolutely love it. So I love how he just says the fee is to share the show, and I do the same thing, right? Just please share the show, share it with friends, family, whatever you want. But please, just, if you think it could help someone, if you think someone could get a little bit, of some motivation, or just a little advice or something, just share it with them. Say, hey, go give it a listen. Trying to grow this thing, and I want to keep doing it, love doing it. So, that's all I got for you today, and we'll talk to you next time.